Hi, my name is James Feuerstein, also known as Foof. I'm the camp director up here at Akelaland. One of everyone's favorite hiking trails at Akelaland is the Nature Trail. And today we're going to take a trip and see what the Nature Trail has to offer. At the start of our nature trail is the old fire circle. This was the original fire circle when Akelaland first opened in 1985, and now it currently serves as our chapel. One thing you might notice about the Poconos and Akelaland is that there are a lot of rocks. These rocks came from the Wisconsinian glacier that covered the northern United States about 8,000 years ago. As it pushed southward, it pushed these rocks all the way from Canada. As it started to melt and retreat, it left them behind. Another thing you might notice is that we have a lot of ferns. This is a fern called New York fern, and they're all connected underground, almost like one giant living fern. And they grow in giant patches that cover the entire forest floor. The nature trail has blazes on it, white marks on the tree to tell us which way to go. When you need to turn, a lot of trails like this have a double blaze, or two blazes on the same tree. This one tells us to turn just a little bit to the left, so we don't go to the right, which is the orange trail. This is a very special plant called Indian pipe. It's all white. A lot of people mistake it for a mushroom because it has no chlorophyll. It lives by absorbing its own nutrients. But it's found throughout Akelaland, although it's not very common in most places. Our next plant is a witch hazel. It grows as a small bush throughout our camp. And one cool thing about witch hazel is if you look closely at the leaves, you can see these little bumps sticking out that kind of look like witches' hats. Those are from a bug, an aphid, that goes onto the leaf to lay its eggs, and when it lays an egg, it injects a chemical into the leaf that causes it to grow that little structure there called a gall. And it provides a little home for its baby until it grows. This is an Eastern Hemlock. It's a state tree of Pennsylvania. It's an evergreen tree that grows throughout the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And it is easy to tell it has short, flat needles. On the back of each needle is two white lines, and those are the phloematic bands where it exchanges air with the atmosphere for photosynthesis. And one good thing about Eastern Hemlock is at the bottom of the tree, there is little dry dead branches that collect there and hang from the tree, and those are a great source of dry tinder if you're ever looking for a way to start a fire. This is Eastern Hemlock. These are rhododendrons. As you can see, they get to be really tall. They're a broadleaf, but they're an evergreen. They have these thick, waxy leaves that help them not lose water during the winter. And they love wet environments, just like Sand Springs, which is just behind us. This is Sand Spring, which is a popular spot here at camp. It has a natural quicksand in the middle. So when there is a spring with lots of water coming up and there is sand on top, that sand starts to behave more like a liquid than a solid. And if you stand there on top of it, you will sink very slowly. When we've tested it out, if you stand in the middle of the quicksand, after about half an hour, you're probably up to about the knee level, and you can then pull yourself back out again. The water from Sand Springs flows to Lake Trexler, where we have our swimming and our boating. If you notice, there is a stone wall around the back, and there is a lot of stories around who built the wall, although I have not seen for sure who actually built the wall. The most popular story is that before this was a camp, it was a farm, which is true, and that the farmer lost one of his horses in the quicksand. And to prevent that from happening and get them to drink at the lower side of the spring, he built the wall. But no one really knows what the real story is. If you look close to the surface of the water, you can see a water strider. We have a few water striders around. They are a cool insect because they get to walk on top of the water. They have thousands of microscopic hairs that allow them to use the surface tension of the water to be able to stay on top and float where they hunt for other insects. To exit Sand Springs, we're going to come through one of everyone's favorite parts of this trail, the Rhododendron Tunnel here. The rhododendrons have been growing here for a long time, and they've grown kind of a dense canopy that allows us to feel like we're going through a little bit of a tunnel here. And then we'll turn around to go over some little bridges over the creek of all the water coming out of Sand Springs. This is a tree called Bigtooth Aspen. Bigtooth Aspen has these leaves that have these nice big teeth around it, and it has super flat stems. So in the wind, the leaves really shake quite a lot. It has a cousin here at Akelaland called the quaking aspen, which is named after that shaking motion. They get to be a big tall tree, but they're very soft wood. You can use it to make paper, but you can't use it to make furniture very well. Bigtooth Aspen. These flowers are mountain laurel. They're the state flower of Pennsylvania. They grow as a low bush all over the Pocono Mountains, and we see them throughout this hike. A lot of people think this little plant is a baby pine tree, but it's actually a club moss. They're a cool little plant. This is as tall as they get. They're evergreen. They are green all year long, and one cool fact is instead of having seeds, they have spores. They get little cones with spores that look like dust. And here we are at the end of the nature trail. Hope you enjoyed hiking with us. See you again soon.